Hello again and welcome everybody to Ceremonial Witchcraft. I am Corey LeBlanc, the person who created this podcast and the only person who's ever been speaking on it live. The only exception being the people I record and put on here to either prove my point or show you that I'm not the only person to think these things, or to show you where I got these ideas and where I derive my ideas from. You know, I take initially the ideas of other people, gurus, mentors, whatever you want to call it, spiritual advisors, and then I take their ideas and I form my own. Now, all my speaker episodes go to YouTube, and initially I've tried to have Facebook. I've had multiple episodes speaking about my attempts in trying to get my my Spreaker attached to my attached to Facebook, so maybe I can have streams on there, episodes on there to attract more fans. But every time I make a fucking Facebook account, the shit gets deleted or flagged or suspended or in Facebook jail or whatever the case is. I don't even know what it is. So I don't ever even try anymore to do the Facebook thing, but it is what it is. But that being said, I was on YouTube yesterday. I'm going to try to bring it up here on my laptop as I'm recording this on my cell phone. But I was on my channel. I forget what the reason was, but I was in the YouTube studio or creating part, anyways. And I hit comments, but I was because truth be told, if I have any comments on any of my Spreaker episodes, I don't know about it. But Spreaker, and I don't always update my email. My email's got like 800 emails on there from everything from spam, of course, because not all that is relevant fucking news, or relevant emails rather. But I have a bunch of things for like all the different places where I get books from, to all the stuff I do via e-commerce and affiliate marketing and all these different ways to make money online. I've done and continue to do and things like that, but I keep that separate. Ceremonial Witchcraft, the website, has nothing on there for sale, even though it is a business site. And initially I thought about maybe putting stuff on there, but if I don't actually use the products, because I'm more of a DIYer, do-it-yourselfer, I'm not going to just put stuff on there and tell people to buy it and promote it if I haven't used it. Now, this is where someone like Birch, who actually sells some of these products or knows where other people have sold it or has dealt with some of these vendors and stuff like that, where his knowledge is going to be very helpful, and he's going to be very good at that, whereas me, I can only see something and speculate if it's going to be good or not by design or whatever, and really it's going to come down to how much you believe that item will or will not work for you. Now, if you're going to use a fucking wand to carve out your circle whenever you're making it, well, if you don't know any better, it's going to work. Frater Xavier had a mailbag talking about that, saying that you can, he said, this is his words and I'm paraphrasing, but he's positive that there's been people out there that've been making a circle with a wand and it worked just fine for them, projecting that out of their arm. But generally you would use your knife to create that, or your athame. Before you use your thame during the neophyte, you would use your two fingers, your index and your middle finger, to create that of your right hand. And I used to use that, and then I used to close it with that same hand, but I eventually changed it to using my left hand to absorb up the I would generally project a blue flame, not always, most of the time white, but it would be like a whitish blue coming out of my hand, and that would be the circle I would step in, and then from there I'm in the astral, and then I don't no longer see that until after I finish up, and then I come back down, and then that, in my imagination, the blue whitish flame is still around me, and then I absorb it with my left hand, is the way I evolved. And you could say that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter, it works for me. And so this is what I mean by it works for you. But anyway, so I was on the air today and I noticed I had some comments. And the most recent comment I had, I know it was 2 something ago, either 2 days or 2 weeks ago. I want to say it was 2 days ago. And it was a woman asking, I believe it was a woman, and she was asking if she can use SIGIL magic during her neophyte. And let's see if I can bring it up here. Comments I have responded to. All right. So let's see here. Apply. Okay. Hi, I wanted to know if I can practice sigil magic in the neophyte grade or question mark. So I only noticed this yesterday. So anybody else who, because there's another person for the video that I said I don't vote, not because I don't believe in it, I just don't, something like that. And there was somebody who wrote, what? So I don't know what he's referring to, so I simply answered, sorry if I offended you, or I don't have the same view as you, or something to that effect. Yeah, sorry if I offended, or contradicted is all I wrote, and meaning sorry if I offended you, or I contradicted myself in there, because I tend to do that. But anyways, back to the first one. I wanted to know if I can practice magic in the neophyte grade and question mark, but and quotations, parentheses, whatever you want to call it. It's quotations, actually. She wrote sigil. And I said, yes, you can, but practice with smaller, less urgent things for a few reasons. One being it's harder to let go and not think about your manifestation when it's something important. And then I wrote a second comment. That way you'll have proof it works, and that will help in many ways. And it's always better to gradually improve and push yourself than to go big all at once. And this way you can read more. You can change or adapt as you go in case you did anything incorrect or received incorrect info or no longer want/need that you cast that of what you've casted for. And sorry, I only noticed I had messages I never saw, but thanks for the question. So I'm gonna, before I get into anything else, I'm just gonna talk about this for a minute, because if she had the question, there might be other people that thought about it but didn't want to ask and just tried to research it for themselves, and maybe they found the answers they wanted, then great, that's awesome. And if they hadn't, well, maybe I can help. But so in my case, my first sigil magic experiences were the orange ball was not my first sigil magic experience, but it was my first very small and something I don't care about. But I have to say, to my recollection, the first thing I casted for using sigil magic was I wasn't using my snowboard anymore, so I wanted to sell my snowboard. And when I went to play it against sports, they said they can only give me something small, a small amount, something like 20 or 30 bucks. And he said it was a shame because the bindings were made out of plastic, so they weren't very good. But the board itself was in mint condition, and the board should go for a higher price, but that's all he could offer me. Or I could leave it there, and potentially someone could pick it up for more. So I did sigil magic, and I did the traditional way. Now I've viewed a bunch of different ways to try to sidestep the whole jerking off way, because I was learning a lot about pornography and different things men should and shouldn't do, and how, maintaining your I guess, your testosterone levels inside of you is ideal for magic. So the longer you can hold that in before doing a spell, the more power you would have for said spell. And there's many traditions that talk about abstaining from sex, fasting, all these different things to help your magic work better. So I was trying to avoid, if there was a way to do sigil magic without doing that, I was trying to avoid that. So I found many different ways of, the one guy, I can't remember his name, it was Jason. I think it was just Jason, Jayson. He recently deleted a lot of his videos, but then he recently came back, and he is a very knowledgeable man, and he had a lot of great videos. However, I think he got attacked a lot because he was giving truthful and good information and helping people. And then I think he got stuck into some fear-based media crap, and I don't really know what happened. I haven't watched them since, because a lot of his videos were just talking about, a lot of Illuminati, maybe not necessarily aliens, but a lot of gold mining or slaves and stuff kind of media. So I stopped watching it. But he had courses through Academia EU or Udemia, anyways, and so he had a bunch of free courses on there you could take, and some of them were for meditations and sigil magic, and it was very informative. And he talked about how you could use the jerk-off way, and that way works great. And if you are up for it, you can even use the pain way that Birch talks about, pain or pleasure, is a way to get something to your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is the part that actually tells your body you're having pain. Whenever you can have, I've done it like before when I was a kid doing hot knives, smoking marijuana, standing there with the knife on my arm, and it wasn't until a friend told me that I had this hot knife on my arm, and you could say, well, maybe it's because I was stoned, and that's probably definitely part of it, but marijuana doesn't really suppress any pain. But it does take you out of your mind a little bit. So therefore, I was out of my conscious mind more being on marijuana, which is why marijuana could have a lot of healing properties as well. But anyways, I was sitting there with a hot knife that I just finished using. So yeah, it wasn't red anymore, but it was still very hot. And I had it on my arm, and when my friend pointed it out to me, I was like, holy fuck. And then within, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds, it got painful, and it took that long for my subconscious to say, no, Corey, this is not funny, this hurts, but it's because my subconscious mind understood, or is the one that tells your nervous system, hey, this hurts, or you like this, pain or pleasure, love or hate, love or fear. So when you put that in perspective, before I get into the sigil magic thing, when you think about someone who's masturbating chronically to either porn, plus, and if you have a partner and you guys have a healthy sex relationship, and things are going well and you guys are having sex every night, well, then there's no problem with that. So I'm not saying that at all. I think that's necessary. I think that happens. Me and my wife definitely had spurts of that when we first met. We did it all the time, and then we stopped, and then we did it all the time, then we stopped, and now we're kind of getting into a more balanced place. We probably don't have it as much as she wants to. We were having it more in the spring. Now that it's wintertime, I kind of get lazy. But I still, in the middle of the night want her. And most of the time I wake up and I'm already having sex with her before I even consciously know I'm having sex with her. And I've talked about this many times. It's like my subconscious mind just takes over. And that's because, I do different affirmations for certain things. And, you don't know when affirmations or sigils are going to happen. They happen basically the faster you can forget about them actually happening, whenever you can let it go. But let's think about a boy who's discovered porn and, using his phone or his laptop downstairs, and when he's alone and his parents don't really know or not monitoring him, and he's jerking off over and over and over again. And what he's watching is pornography, women doing these things or whatever, Friends has a great episode of Joey and Chandler. They've got free porn, right? And they didn't want to shut it off. It's when they switched apartments with Rachel and Monica. And they had free porn and they didn't want to shut it off. And they wanted to keep shutting it off. Phoebe actually turns off the TV and then, what'd you do? And then they turn the TV back on and they're like, free porn, free porn. And they're all excited about it, which we can talk about the programming for society about, because I love Friends. I watched every episode over and over again. But I can honestly say that there's probably a lot of programming that was done through that. But anyways, point is, they talk about, Joey's like, I don't know which story was which, but the one was, I went to the post office and, the hot post girl, it was a Xerox girl, I think, that Ross ends up cheating on Rachel with. I went to the Xerox place and she didn't ask me to sleep with her, or something, I think what Chandler says. And Joey's like, same thing happened. The pizza delivery girl came, or the pizza girl came at the place, and she didn't, she turned me down or something like that. And as funny as that is, it's actually like a correspondence to, because if sigil magic works, because when at the point of orgasm, you look at that suggestion, you put that in your mind. Well, at the point of orgasm, when you're watching something erotic, something, that could be considered taboo, because if you watch porn lately, which I don't anymore, but there is a lot of, pretty gross stuff out there, incestuous stuff and forced stuff, and oh my God, it's brutal. So, as someone watches, they might start off, a boy might start off with girl and girl porn, and he might, start watching hardcore porn and more rough porn, and then, he graduates to orgies and all this. The point is, as he progresses, he wants something a little bit more worse. He's pushing it, and this plays into the whole dark side part of our body, the negative part of our body. If we don't express our negative side in a healthy way, then it's going to come out in other ways. And, the reason for pornography addictions is because, just like drug addictions, just like gambling addictions, any addiction really, your dark side's coming out via this way. It's coming out through this, I guess I'll say channel, but this circumstance, whatever it is. And so when it comes to porn, they gradually get worse and worse. But if you look at a sigil whenever you're about to orgasm, that puts it into your subconscious mind. Well, what happens if over and over again you're watching gradually pornography that's getting more and more demeaning towards women, or more, hateful or hurtful or whatever, and you're continuously putting this into your subconscious mind, and you can say, well, I'm consciously watching it. Yes, but we know that you can use sex to make powerful magic. Sex magic is the most powerful magic. Using all your focus and energy with your testosterone, with that chakra, is one of the fastest and best ways to make magic happen. But if there's boys and maybe even girls over and over looking at this stuff, they're putting this into their subconscious mind. Not only are they creating a habit, but they're putting it in their mind as something they like to do. When I used to do cocaine, part of that was, if I had a girlfriend at the time or whatever, I would sleep with her, obviously over watching pornography. But almost every single time, I would want to watch pornography because it was part of the taboo, part of the bad thing. I was doing the drugs because it was considered bad. It was representing my dark side. I was bringing it out, and then I would do this, and not something I really like talking about because whatever. But YouTube yesterday, that was the reason I was on YouTube Studio, because they changed some policies and they want to know right now if your shit is for kids or not. So I said, no, my shit's not for kids. And I said, do you want to go through all your videos and mark the ones that aren't? I said, no, all my shit is not for kids. So I can start talking about this, and I hope that no kids are going to hear it, and hopefully parents or whatever, kids that shouldn't be watching my stuff that maybe are having this issue might think about it and stop or slow down. I'm not saying to not gratify yourself or do that, especially if you have these urges, if it means doing something bad or, repressing it, but to do something over and over again, especially whenever you're using a very powerful magical tool, not that your dick's a tool, but that process is a way of using manifestation, because whenever you release that, that's like an ultimate euphoric love feeling. You're so oh my God, that felt great. There's no way to feel bad at that moment. There's no way to be all directly after. You might be ashamed of what you just watched, and the stuff you may have downloaded, you're going to delete right away and be like, why did I download that? I shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have did that. But in the moment, you weren't thinking like that. But anyways, I just want to put that in a perspective for people that if you're watching stuff over and over again and, it's gradually getting worse and, you're using this process that we use for sigil magic to make our manifestations happen, keep that in mind that whatever you're watching at the time of that release, you're implanting that in your mind as either something you like, creating a habit and stuff like that. So you need to monitor and watch that shit. There is some danger to it. I know there's a lot of stuff out there saying porn's bad, porn's good, porn's this, porn's that. But I'm not here to say it's bad or good. I'm here to say, balance with everything is the key. And you don't want to overdo something. You don't want to do something to the extremes. You don't want to do anything to the extremes. So that's the first part of this message. But now back to the sigil magic. So this is a woman speaking to me, and I don't know about the women's process. And I went over this in a video. But like I was trying to say, this guy Jason, who was teaching stuff at this time, taught me that, take a sigil, you write your statement of intent, okay? And you use the rules that I learned from Birchnow, negative speech. You don't make it vague, but you don't make it too direct. You don't want to say you're getting money and how you're going to get the money and when you're going to get the money, if that's what you're going for, because you're limiting all the ways you can get that money. You just say you're grateful that you receive this money. You also want to do it in past tense. And if you can write stuff down within there, because the more letters you have, the more complicated it's going to be. And the reason for that is because this is a 7-day process if you're not using the jerk off way. But I say if you can put the two together, that's your best options. But anyways, if you can manage to get a feeling from your statement of intent, if you write something down and it captures the essence of the feeling you feel whenever that manifestation happens, well, that's going to be optimal. But you don't have to do that, because all you have to do is whenever you're making that, when you're looking at that sigil, feel that feeling as when you're pre-charging it, basically. You visualize into that sigil until it gets completely blurry where you don't see that sigil anymore. Close your eyes and then try to make that sigil in your mind, the one you wrote down that you just made blurry that you can't see anymore. If you can reconstruct it in your mind, great. If you can't, then open your eyes back up and start over and keep doing that until you can visualize that sigil in your mind with your eyes closed, so it's in your mind. Do that. This will be the first day after you write your statement of intent. You make your sigil, then you're going to focus on it. You're going to meditate on it, basically. That'd be your point you're meditating on. You meditate on that as your point. And then once you can visualize it in your head, okay, you can see it in your head. then I would say to add the feeling of what that sigil represents, okay? So if you're asking for $1,000, well, in your mind, it doesn't have to be necessarily your statement of intent you're going through in your head as an affirmation, although you can do that. But I would say in your mind, what you should do at this point is feel as if you received that $1,000. And you don't have to necessarily see yourself getting in the mail, because if you do something like that, say you get a direct deposit, get in the mail, I would say do multiple ways of getting that money. See yourself getting it, and who knows, maybe you'll get $1,000 in 7 different ways. That's not how it worked for me, I'm just saying. But I would say just visualize yourself as you got the money, however way you got it, and it's with you, and you're enjoying it, or you're buying stuff with it, or you're sharing with your family, hey, I got this money to help us out with this, or you see yourself giving it to somebody else to help them out as a good gesture, whatever it is. Once you have that visual, that sigil visualized in your mind. Now, this is not something you're going to hear from other people. You're going to hear the whole visualizing it, seeing it in your mind, and focusing on it until it gets blurry, until you and the sigil are basically one kind of thing, is what a lot of people like to say, because, it gets blurry and you don't know where it starts or ends. And can't really see it. It's kind of like when you look at those magic eye things where you have to kind of make your eyes go, not cross-eyed, but similar to cross-eyed and blurry. You want to do that with your sigil, and then once you do that for a long enough time, see if you can reconstruct in your head. And as you're seeing that in your head, visualize yourself, the feeling, so this way you can consciously and then you should be pretty close to in a trance at this point. I would say before you even start the whole visualization process, you do a 4-fold breath, right? You breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, you hold that for 4 seconds, you keep going. If you can add that, if you can make that go to 6 and then go to 8, then great. And then maybe if you can hold your breath a few times and then come back to the rhythmic breathing, that'd be even better too. But that will help put you into a trance-like state. Okay, at least in a very relaxed state, so trance is possible. So then once you start to meditating on the sigil, you're already very relaxed, okay? You're not thinking about much, all right? Because you don't want to think about anything but that sigil that you're trying to think about. So your first step would be getting in that relaxed state after making the sigil, after writing your statement of intent, okay? 4-fold breath. And you can do this within a ritual space. And, to me, that is great. You can do it then, but you don't have to. It's not necessary with sigil magic. You don't have to do sigil magic within a circle. You can, and it works just as good, possibly better, but I say I have gotten results from both. I've gotten results from having my sigil in my circle. I've got results from doing these exercises in my ritual circle. I've never masturbated in my ritual circle, however. I can't say that. I've made circles in my mind, in my imagination, while having sex with my wife. Technically, I came during those times, so therefore I have orgasmed in a circle per se, but not one I physically made in front of my altar, and I didn't shoot off a load or anything like that. But so that would be, I know I'm not really being very clear on these steps, but okay, so statement of intent to what you want, following the rules of the no negatives, if you want to do the free from harm, okay, or harm free, I will thee, so mote it be, should be your last words, and then you can either put harm free, harm free, I will thee, so mote it be, your name, sign your magical name, and if you have a magical sigil, that's what I would do to start. And if you end up programming your magical name into your subconscious mind, or you make a program that, anytime I write my magical name, these manifestations happen 3 times as fast as when I sign my regular name, or whatever the case is, okay? Because you're basically associating that to you're talking to. Whenever you consciously write your magical name attached to the sigil, whatever, you're telling your subconscious mind, if you named it your magical name like I did, then you're telling it this is what you want to be done. You're actually calling it out, That's one of my ways of techniques and triggers I did for in trance. I say my magical name a specific amount of times in a specific way, and not just saying the name. Because if anybody ever found out my name for some reason, then, they could potentially just try, 3 times, 4 times saying it, putting me into a trance and, doing whatever, or hypnotic state. So I have specific ways in case that was ever to be found. But anyways, I hope I didn't confuse anybody. But so that would be day one after you do all that, right? You do the 4 full breath, you meditate on it, okay? Now you can't see anymore, it's blurry, like that magic eye thing. Close your eyes, you could be sitting, you could be standing, it don't matter. Close your eyes, and then reconstruction in your head. Once you have it reconstructed, okay, if you can't, you repeat this until you can. But once it's reconstructed in your head, then associate an emotion with it. A picture and an emotion with it. This is going back to the Greg Braden thing that he talks about.